Hello, happy Friday, everyone. Welcome back. It's time again for another edition of the Weekly Member Spotlight. We are pre-recording this session of the Spotlight because when it airs tomorrow, Friday, May 13th, you are going to be at Belterra for the GCNKAA Day at the Races. So our guest was gracious enough to give me some time before that event so we could record this in hopes that you are watching it on your way home from Belterra tomorrow. So with that being said, I would like to introduce our guest. It is Ms. Brie Speier, who is the marketing manager with CIG Communities. Good afternoon, Brie.
Good afternoon, Melissa. How are you?
Very good. I'm excited to sit down. Brie is a fellow committee member on the social media committee, and I've got to know her a little bit through that. And turns out we have, I think one of our favorite people in life is a mutual friend, and she just met a very good friend of mine at a networking or a conference very soon. So we've got all kinds of things in common. I'm excited to get to know you a little better through this interview, Brie. Can I ask you to introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about who you are and what you do at CIG?
Yeah, so like you said, I'm the marketing manager. It's kind of a loaded question. I feel like right now for CIG, we are really building the foundation of everything. We've been, in business for 30 plus years, but it's like we really are making a ton of positive changes and we're growing a crazy amount. So a big part of where I started with CIG in my role now is I came in and we started doing our rebrand pretty much right away. We were formerly known as Capital Investment Group. So that was like a really fun and exciting project for me to start on. Before that, Abby wasn't on our team yet. So I felt like I was thrown in, but that's how I like it. I like being in the middle of the action. I like getting things done. So it was a really exciting first project for me. So that was the basis of basically laying the foundation of who we were going to be and who we wanted to be. So we started with the rebrand, that took up a big chunk of my time for 3 months. It was so fun though. So exciting. And you're literally watching your brand come to life. So it's a big part of it. And kind of my day to day is I help sites with social media. I do our corporate branding. Abby also helps me with that. I do a lot of that stuff. I work with reputation management for all the sites. I also work with a web developer for SEO, our website design, and then for lease ups, for example, Aspire Kenwood, I've been doing a lot of, getting the marketing collateral together, just making sure all of our leasing materials are ready to go for all that exciting lease up happening. And we're super pumped about that. Everything's going so well there. So there's a lot that I do. I feel like it's definitely different than I feel like once we're super established and, which I shouldn't say super established because in property management, things are constantly changing, right? You're constantly adding on things. So there's never going to be a slow time, right? But I think
that is right.
Yeah, but it's just so much fun working towards that and continuing to build our brand. And when it comes to brand, that's what I'm super passionate about. Everything else marketing, I love doing it, but my passion is the branding side of marketing and really just putting your full attention to building company culture, just not just showing it on the websites, but proving it on your day-to-day basis, with the site teams and just making people feel like they belong somewhere, and that that's a big part of me. I want to blur that line between there is no corporate, I don't want a corporate office, I don't know. I don't want people to think of it as a corporate office. I want to blur that line between they can come to us with anything. They're just as important as we, and everyone's on the same level. And I wanted to keep it that way because our site teams are everything. They are the face of our brand. So marketing for me is it really is everything. So I do. Well,
I can feel your energy and your passion for it. It's exciting because I'm just getting to know you and I've interacted with you a little bit on our committee meeting. So I would have never known that you're relatively new in your role. You act like you've been doing this for a very long time. How long have you actually been in the apartment industry?
So I've been in it for 4 years. Actually, my mom, everyone's like, oh, I fell into it, which I guess I kind of did. My mom fell into it. And she was at a property close to Aqua on the Levee. And I was 18. I just started college and, college schedules are super weird. Constantly have a flexible schedule. So she was like, how would you feel about, doing some leasing for me? And I was like, me and my mom, she's pretty cool. So I was like, I could probably do that. I love working with people. So it kind of felt right. And I wanted experience. So I started leasing for her. And then a couple years went by and she actually ended up being promoted with a different company. And I was like, I think I really want to expand my experience. And I saw Aqua and the Levee was hiring, and I was like, it would be my first experience with Class A properties. It's a beautiful building. And so I decided, I was like, I'm going to go ahead and go in there or, apply. And pretty much right away, I went in there and I was there for 10 minutes. And we were just, between the experience and I just vibed with the team that was there. It was just, sometimes you just hit it off with the team you interview with. And that was kind of the energy I was getting. So she was like, when can you start? And I was pumped up. I was ready to go. And I started 2 weeks after that. And it's been a journey since. I met some incredible people through there. And then that's eventually I was a year in to there, and I was about to graduate. And Whitney Cars, who was my boss at the time, was like, hey, how would you like to be assistant and just go full time, my assistant manager, and go full time? And I was like, that'd be awesome. And then Lloyd Cowell, he came in 2 weeks later as the VP of Property Management, and he was like, how would you feel about being our marketing manager? I'm like, it's a lot of moving around.
Right.
Yeah, but I had a little bit of experience just with working at Aqua. You do little things here, little promotional flyers or, specials all the time. So we want to promote all that kind of stuff. And Whitney was like, you're really good at that. Really look you're already gonna take her from me. But it was a big pull for me because I was so used to, just that being on site.
Right. Yeah.
It's so different. It's incredibly different from what I'm doing now. And I really love the people. It's a people business.
The residents.
And I was like, that kind of was a big pull for me too. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to get to see these people that, come down for coffee every day and talk to me,
right.
Vent to me about their lives, or even just tell me about things. I want to hear all that stuff still. And I feel I was hesitant because I'm I'm going to lose a little bit of that. I love the people I get to work with, residents, coworkers, colleagues. It's just, that's who I am. And so I was a little hesitant. I wasn't sure if Lloyd was actually ready to go, really hire on a marketing manager right then and there. And I was like, yeah, let me think about it. And then he came back to me again, a couple weeks later, or maybe even a week later. And he was just no, I'm serious. How would you feel about that? And I'm like, yeah, okay. I started thinking about it more. I was like, you know what? I think I really want to use my degree. First of all, there's so many people go to college.
I was going to ask if you studied marketing in college.
Yeah, I graduated from UC, and I got my marketing degree from UC. So I was like, it's a natural fit. I would love to use my degree in property management. In my head, I was like, there's so much growing you can do in property management.
Definitely.
That's my original thought. So that's why I was wanting to stick to that. But then I was like, you can always grow anywhere. You can grow doing anything you want to do. It's just how much effort you put into that and where you want to go.
When you started school and established your major as marketing, did you have in your head planned out what were you going to be when you finished college and what area of life you would apply that discipline?
No. So really property management was kind of just my placeholder for the longest time. And I loved doing it. I was like, and you can make pretty good money in property management and make a really good career out of it. And I was like, yeah, maybe this is just my fit. Right. I went to college, and whether I use this degree or not, either way, I'll still make good, decent money and have have the lifestyle that I want to have. And that was a big part of it for me. So once I got into the marketing role, I was just I find when I came to CIG and I started working at the home office, it was definitely a big transition. I was like, oh my gosh, and I love to talk to people. So I'm there wasn't a whole lot of people in the office yet. We were moving from a different office to this office. So it was very empty. And I was like, gosh, this is so weird. And I almost kind of had a sad feeling because I was I don't have all these people constantly and we're super busy here. So there was not that interaction wasn't as prominent here. And then once everybody got moved in and, everybody was in this office, then that started to, Can
you get an office puppy or something?
We do have an office puppy, actually. We have Bear. He's our project manager. He's on our website.
I love following y'all on LinkedIn and whatnot. And I see all of the fun things. And I was like, I want an office puppy. Like that's a great idea.
Yeah. That his title. I gave him his title. It's like 2 weeks after I started. It's stuck ever since. So he got his professional headshot done.
I saw that too on social media. I love it.
He's pretty sharp.
Oh. Well, having worked on site and now working in the pseudo, we'll not say corporate. That is not a very inviting word, but working
we call it our home office.
Your home office. I like that. Working at the home office. And so we call ours regional office. It's kind of the same. It just doesn't feel as disconnected. It feels like there's a disconnect when you say corporate. So I like that. I like home office. So how, having worked there and having worked on site, I'm sure you have like your fair share of fun stories, memorable stories of things that you've experienced in your career. So share a memorable story and feel free for both your experience at the home office and your experience at the site level.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the site level, I mean, anybody that was working on the site level, I'm sure has a million crazy stories. I mean, you see it all.
Yeah. We really saw it all at Aqua. Like that's just the prime location to see it all.
Well, so before that, I was working at a Class D property. So I was working with all different types of people, and it's
right.
That's what I love about it, because you get to learn people. Like you get to learn how they think and how they act, and it's really amazing to soak that all in. But I will say my favorite story was definitely from Aqua. This gentleman came in with his daughter, and she had to have a life-saving medical treatment at Cincinnati Children's. And I believe they were from Syria, if I remember correctly. And he spoke very little English, and he didn't understand anything I was saying. And I felt so bad for him, because like even with his body language, you could tell he was just like super like confused, and he was just anxious because, you know, he's got his daughter with him that, you know, she's carrying, like she had oxygen tanks with her and everything. So that's just, I mean, kids are a full-time job all on their own. Plus, like when they're sick, I mean, and I can't even imagine what this man was going through. And I just immediately like felt this need to like, I don't even care what I had to do, but I knew I had to help him or do whatever I could to get this communication barrier figured out. So we were literally talking through Google Translate for the longest time. Like he was just typing things out, but even that doesn't translate half the time correctly. So
right, yeah.
He finally, I think we got to a point where he actually had a friend here and that could translate for us. So that helped a lot. And he was even just telling me from like through the translator, like he was saying like how like all these people that he's went to like look for apartment homes, like would just get so frustrated with him and like just kind of get irritated. And then obviously that's off-putting to him. You don't want to live in a place that doesn't feel like home, right?
Oh yeah.
So, and I'm like, that's just like, that's so heartbreaking. And the other thing that happened with him is we always assign our parking at Aqua, because you just have to do that. I mean, sure. So he had a parking spot, and when we gave him all this, we figured out that we got him into an apartment, and he was super happy. We figured it out. He's like, I finally feel content. Like I feel like I'm safe and like at home. But he kept getting his car towed. I was like, and we went back over because I think he kept parking in somebody else's spot, and like over and over again. But it would be like different spots because he didn't understand exactly. Which I actually ended up going down there and like showing him, because he didn't even understand our number system at that point. Yeah. So like that, and we forget about that kind of stuff. Like we take all that for granted all the time.
Yeah.
And I was so confused because I didn't even think like, oh, and that's like on me. Like I'm like, I should have thought about that. Like obviously. So I went down there with him and we just kind of walked through the building and I explained things to him as well as I could. I actually had his translator come in, could, have like a, in-person interaction where someone's explaining all these things to him, because I wanted him to have like the best experience there as well as everyone else. But it's hard with him because he didn't exactly know what was going on at the time, and he was very confused. But he ended up actually at the very end when he was about to leave. We got to talking as he was there, and they were only there for a short amount of time. I think it was about 6 months. But throughout the time he was there, I got to like walk him through the building and like really like get to know his story. And his whole family was back in Syria, and it's just incredible. I mean, like, what a great dad! Like,
oh yeah,
this man just he's doing it alone too, and that was such an inspiration.
Your story reminds me of something I realized when I started in the business and started renting apartments, is that when people are looking for an apartment, it's very often the absolute best time of their life, worst time of their life. It's rarely in between, because you're moving in light of something really exciting happening. There's a new job, a new career, you're moving in with your partner or something like that, or you have to downsize, or you had to move out of your home, or you're separating from your partner. Like, sometimes it's in between, but I like you, got very connected to the people that were going through the things, because that's when they need you to be human the most. So that is a beautiful story. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah. At the very end though, he actually came to me and he learned like a little bit of English, and just so that he could tell me like how grateful he was for my patience.
Aww,
like,
how nice.
Yeah. It was just like a beautiful, like little friendship that like bloomed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was definitely a story.
Having been in the industry my literal entire life, I can tell you there are those kinds of residents. There will be a handful that you just never forget. You will never forget that experience, never forget the resident's name and his daughter. And that is what makes this industry so special. And so I don't like the word addicting, but that's what it is. I don't know how anyone could be in this business and then get out of the business and still feel the same kind of human connection that we get to experience.
Yeah, fulfillment, 100%.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, again, having moved from site to the home office and, kind of working into your new role, what advice would you offer up to someone who's relatively fresh in the industry and kind of exploring what their options are?
Always keep an open mind and an open heart. That's my biggest 2 points. And always listen. You will always, I've learned so much just in this past year, just by listening. Abby and Lloyd, I've learned incredible amounts from them. And even from my other colleagues, like the people on site, I've learned stories from them all the time. I get to learn more about them all the time. And that actually makes me a better marketer and a better just colleague for them, because now I know what I have to do to make sure that they're happy and they're content here at CIG, and that I can, do little things here to make their experience just that much better. But just constantly look at problems as opportunities to learn and not as actual issues or an inconvenience. Your perception is an outlook is everything. And yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up for me.
I like it. All very good advice. Very good advice. Well, I want to switch gears and get to know you a little bit personally. But before we do that, one last CIG question. You mentioned Aspire Kenwood earlier. What is new and exciting going on? Like, what I hear you are really working on the branding initiative. I know you're all settled into your new office, but like, what's kind of the buzz right now at CIG, and what are you most excited about?
Yeah, so Aspire Kenwood's our baby right now. That property is gorgeous. Obviously, lease-ups get a little crazy. You have a lot of new things being implemented, and tons of people are starting to move in, and our leasing's going great there. So other than Aspire Kenwood, we do have some properties in the pipeline. It's really exciting, and Abby's really getting out into getting some third-party management contracts, so that's exciting too. There's just, I could go on for days about everything that's happening, but I would say, kind of just to sum it up, we have some properties in Sarasota, Naples, Nashville that we're really looking into, and it's exciting. There's a ton of growth happening, and I couldn't be happier with seeing the progress that's been made, and like the just positive people that we work with too. This is a great team, it's a great time to be on this team, and just to see this growth. It's amazing.
Well, thank you on behalf of the association and the city and the industry. I really love what y'all are doing, and the energy is contagious. And obviously, I have a close relationship with Abby, and Lloyd is very active in the association. So I'm getting to know him a lot more, and you through your interaction and commitment to the association with the social media committee. So thank you. I very much appreciate and welcome the energy and enthusiasm. I can't wait to see Aspire. I'm anxiously awaiting to get to visit and get to visit the, hopefully y'all will have a grand opening or something like that when it's,
yeah.
I know how it is when people try to sneak around your lease. So I won't do that, but I'm excited to see that. And it is just really exciting for the city because, nationally there is such a shortage of apartments and such a high demand. So to have developers building apartments and, world-class managers managing great apartments, it just makes for a better industry and a better city. So I'm excited for you and excited for the direction of the company. And I'll be here cheering you on from the sideline, friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I want to switch gears now because I do want to get to a couple of personal questions. First of all, Brie, tell us about your family.
Okay, so my mom was, like I said, in property management, and my dad works at Cincinnati Children's as an electrical engineer there, and he's been there for 30 plus years. I've learned all my work ethic from both of my parents. Be hard workers and kind people.
Would I know your mom?
Probably not. She worked for like a smaller company, and now she works for Native Foundations, and it's based out of Newport, Kentucky.
Okay.
Yeah, she's like kind of. I mean, they weren't as involved in the apartment association. It was just like a smaller private company.
Got it. Okay.
So maybe, but probably not.
We'll talk offline.
Yeah. I mean, you might know her from something else.
Right.
No, but she's incredible. I can't say.
Well, you said she's really cool, and cool people tend to find each other. So obviously, I know her somewhere. No,
that's true, but. And I think you're a little bit younger than my mom, so that's the only reason.
Thanks. That doesn't happen often when I talk to 23-year-olds. So thank you very much.
Brings me to my next point. So my mom is, my parents are, they're starting to like get to that age of retirement, and now I have a 3-year-old little sister. So that they just
tell us about her and the story. I love it.
Yeah. So to put it in a nutshell, my parents weren't like, looking to foster any children or anything. I mean, this little girl, and I absolutely adore every ounce of her. She really did just kind of like fall into our laps. We had her at 3 months old. And she just from essentially it was just, she came into our lives from, a family friend, I guess. And we weren't ready we fell in love with her. I mean, we had her all the time. We were constantly babysitting her. And it kind of just came to a point where, the biological side was just, they didn't want her. And it was like, you get in these situations in life where you're like, you have 2 things you can do, and you got to make a choice. And it was incredibly hard because it's not like we were, oh my gosh, like my parents weren't like dying to have another baby, and
right.
Just retirement, like that was the last thing on their mind.
Yeah.
But she literally fell into our laps, and we got to a point where I looked at my parents and I was like, what are we going to do? We're all in love with this child. Like she was the center of our world. Like there's no way I could see our lives without her. And my parents, like we all looked at each other and we're like, I guess we're doing this. Like,
I love that.
They completely restarted. Which is crazy to me. I still can't believe it. She's like 3 going on 13. She's not super sassy. She's just so you can have a conversation with her like kind of how we're having right now. She's so mature for her age, and she's gonna be 4 here in June. And she's
what are you doing to celebrate?
So we have our backyard. We have like a nice backyard, a huge pool. So we're having like a big party for her. We're gonna do a theme like Forever Wild and have it like a safari theme.
That's cute.
Yeah. So I get to do all that fun stuff too, which is fun for me.
So I'm sure as her big sister, you're her idol, and she's really going to catch on to that when she knows you have the ability to plan and theme and do all the things to make her life really extra special.
She's already caught on to that. Every time in the door, she's like, "Did you buy me something?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't buy." Every time I leave the house, I go, to Target, and she's like, "Did you buy me like something?" I'm like, "No, I didn't, but it's something, I'll get it for you." So she knows she's got me wrapped. Like there's no ands, ifs, or buts about that. But she is just incredible. She's so smart and so incredible. And it showed me so much. She's taught me how to be selfless. I have given up a lot, to really help out my parents. but like, it's not like I did this, so I deserve something else. I don't expect anything.
Right.
And I want her to think that. I was actually at AIM a couple weeks ago, and I was talking to the team, we were talking about our biggest fears, and everyone was like, spiders, or,
Yeah.
and then somebody said like fear of failure. And a big part of my fear was like, that was kind of a play off of failure, but it was more of like, my biggest fear is like someday when she's my age, if she can't say, that's my aunt, or that's my sister. I'm sorry, that's my sister, and she's like a total rock star. Like, if she like want to be just like her, like that's my fear. Like, I want
love that so much.
Yeah, she's awesome. Right?
Okay, well, I'm gonna need to see pictures of the birthday party because that sounds pretty awesome. I had my son later in life, and it was a struggle for me to conceive. So he's like the most ridiculously spoiled thing ever. Everything's so far over the top. So I think there's something to be said for having the opportunity to do things when you're at a point in your life where either you've like gained experience and patience, or you have different resources, and or you just really appreciate the value of what you have. So I have a feeling your little sister is going to be living the life for.
Oh, she already is. That girl is. But like,
I love it. That's so sweet.
Yeah,
What do you guys, you with your family or you alone? What do you like to do in your spare time in terms of hobbies?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different things. I mean, a big chunk of my life is just spending time with Remy. That's my little sister. Yeah, I mean, I get off of work and like we're going to the park or, playing soccer, doing something like that. But a big part of what my specific or personal passions outside of CIG and my family and friends, it would definitely be music. I've been playing music ever since I was a little girl. I started.
What do you play?
I play guitar and I sing.
What?
So it's just like it's fun. Yeah, and I actually
that's amazing. What genre do you?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm all over the place. So like country, but I do covers of everything. Like I'll do some Beatles, some covers of the Eagles. Like I'm all over the place. Like anything that you can turn into an acoustic cover, I'll do.
Do you ever perform? Like, do you ever schedule things? And how do I get a personal invite?
Well, I don't do it anymore, mainly because just strictly I want to really focus on my career and Remy. But I actually am like, she's starting to kind of get into music too, which is super exciting. I don't want to push anything on her.
Yeah.
She just has so much fun doing it with me. So I can't wait to like when she gets older to start teaching her that kind of stuff. But I used to play in high school, to answer your question, like around bars, just locally. It's just a fun little gig, and it was some extra money. You're in high school, so it's crazy. It was already like 5.
Okay,
it's coming up.
That could have been your fun fact.
It could have been, but I was gonna
know that. I know you said anyone who knows me probably knows all about me. Like I didn't know that. I do not play any instruments, but I do sing. And I, oh my gosh, was on the amateur karaoke circuit, and the apartment association way back like 100 years ago had an apartment idol contest. I won the first edition of that. So yeah, we need to have, I keep saying this, we need to have a GCNKAA like karaoke.
Oh yeah.
Or something. And like once a quarter, we just go do karaoke somewhere. There's so many people that are so talented in our industry.
Oh, it's
play or do something.
Yeah. So what do you sing?
Country is my preference for sure. But like if I was singing, so Village Green's annual convention, we usually have like a talent competition or something. And one year I sang Natural Woman by Aretha Franklin. And so that's kind of become like my jam. That's like my go. If I was auditioning for something, like that's what I would sing. So
I'm obsessed with that. I love that.
I know. That's so fun. We have so much to talk about. And so maybe we don't have to go to lunch. We'll go find a karaoke place sometime and have some fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Brie, I know you've got to get back to your day. I want to go through just a couple more things and then I'll send you on your way. But this has been so fun. I got a couple of more questions just to get to know you a little better. First of all, do you have any pets? And if so, tell us about the pet.
Yeah, I have one dog. Her name we got her from the shelter with the name Mimi. So she just responded to that right away. Cute. Wouldn't have been my preference, but I'm like, whatever. Yeah. That's what she answers to. We can work with that. And we've had her since she was it's weird. We have had her since she was 3 months old as well.
Aw, what kind of puppy?
She's kind of a little bit of everything. I think she's definitely got she's like a pit mix, I would say, for the most part. She's very like slender. I almost think she's got some like maybe Italian Greyhound in her or something. She's like the cutest little thing ever. She's very, but yeah.
You know, we used to, with this initiative, we used to have pictures and we would make a post with pictures and stuff. And I really miss seeing everyone's pet pictures. So I might have to revive that because I love seeing all the pictures. And then the names are always very funny because you like get to know people by what they name their animals to. Not everyone keeps the name. Well, what about, I know we talked after you went to the AIM conference and you told me about this podcast, and I want you to share with our listeners about your favorite current podcast.
Yeah, so I'm a little biased because I'm on the panel of that, but and anybody's welcome to it. So Sydney Weber is actually the host. She works with Knock, which I don't know if you're familiar with Knock or not. Yeah, so she does a lot of their, she's a social evangelist for them. That's her title. Which
I like that word.
Right? But she is just such an awesome person, and she really just started this, like, it wasn't even a full year ago, and there was like, I think like 6 to 8 people on like the first, our first meeting. And then from there, it's like just blown up. Every week she'll have a guest come on and just talk about, their experience. So like 2 weeks ago, there was somebody in maintenance that came and talked to the group, and just about how maintenance ties into marketing, and just how we can be better about really showcasing our stars, which our maintenance, that's what we see. Most of our reviews come back in for how incredible our maintenance team is. Like, so we really wanted to kind of dive into that. And it's one of those things I feel like that gets overlooked with a lot of places, is how great our maintenance teams are. So he was just talking about, how he's been, showcased on their property sites and on their social media. And it's really just incredible. We talk about everything, marketing, SEO. I mean, like I said, how maintenance ties into things. And I mean, it goes on every week, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. But yeah, I highly suggest it to anybody who just wants some insight. There's a ton of people, and there's so many ideas that are constantly just being thrown back and forth. And I've learned so much just from that.
I love it. Well, I made note of that when I talked to you about it a couple of weeks ago, and I have not listened yet, but it is on my list, and I'm going to. As a matter of fact, my like summer walking habit is like in full swing, and I'm catching up on some podcasts. I'm like, I've got to download that one. I love it. And what I really love is just how sophisticated our industry is becoming, and how many just amazing fresh perspectives that are out there. I think our industry kind of lived in this very stale place for a long time, and then it just was like wildfire. Technology and marketing and just sophistication. The fact that now you can go get a degree in property management, a 4-year college degree exists now in our industry. It just has made everything so much more sophisticated. And so I love hearing from people that are very passionate about our industry. And it sounds like this podcast is great. You're the second person that's told me about it, so I can't wait to listen.
Yeah.
Well, so if you are from the greater Cincinnati area, I'm sure you entertain yourself around here. I want to ask you 2 more questions just about your personal preferences, and then we'll round it out with my favorite last question. Awesome. First of all, what's one of the best concerts that you've been to?
It's a good one.
It doesn't have to be local, but I always assume everyone, with Riverbend and all the cool concert venues around here, Ovation and Icon now, like all those places are just talent to the area.
Absolutely. That's a good question, because I feel like with the concerts that happen, I usually go to Riverbend, but lately, like a couple of summers ago, we started going on boats on the river, and then just like docking up behind Riverbend and listening to them, which is like a totally different experience, but it's awesome because he doesn't love being on a boat. So but honestly, and I know this is gonna sound really cheesy, but I love like a Jimmy Buffett concert. Like, it's so much fun.
Cheesy about that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's an iconic thing.
It's more of like, I just enjoy those because it's more of like the experience for me. Because like, my whole family, like, get like a huge RV and we like deck it out, and then like we all get all dressed up for the Jimmy Buffett concert. And it's honestly more of like a sentimental thing, I feel like, for me. In that sense, I don't know, they're just fun. They're like lighthearted. It's not like super jam packed where people are like, stepping on you and everything else.
Right.
It's a good time. But yeah.
I love that. And are you really even from Cincinnati if you've never been to the Jimmy Buffett concert at least once in your life? Right? Well, what's one of your favorite local restaurants to frequent?
So this one's that's a good question because I'm a big foodie. I consider myself a foodie. So I have quite a few, but honestly, it's kind of like a hole in the wall place. And I feel like a lot of people don't know about it. I'm from Northern Kentucky. So it's called Untitled Bayou. It's like a Cajun. Yeah. Have you been there?
Only because the VP for Village Green, Kelly Turner, is from Kentucky, and she took our whole team there. And I'm like, how have I never heard of this?
That was my first job ever. I started working there when I was like 15 and a half. And
don't they have some really cool, like, is it opera cake or something as their dessert?
Opera cream cake. Yeah.
That's what I love remembering. Like, I need this in my life.
It's killer. It's so good. And honestly, I worked there for 2 years. That was my job right before I got into property management. And I literally love the people there. It's such a good, like first starting off, like you get exposed to all kinds of things, but like at the same time, you're like really learning people. That's how, like, where I got my customer experience. So it's a great place. It's so good. They have crawfish, and I'm a big seafood person. I love Cajun food. But that's definitely that's my number one for sure.
They have alligator.
They do. Yeah.
I remember I'm like, y'all, I'm not here for that kind of stuff. Like, I'm such a wuss when it comes to being like adventurous, trying new food. But it was great. It was a great, just intimate atmosphere. So
yeah, it's very helpful.
No one in all the times, and we've been doing this for about 4 years, no one has ever named that as their favorite restaurant. So that is good to hear.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know about it. I feel like
I know, right?
Off the beaten path.
It's so funny because I live pretty far north of downtown in Monroe, and most of my team lives on the other side of the river. So when we have like clients come in town or we're doing something fun, it's like, all right, they want to go to the Kentucky side, and we're always like, Ohio, but we don't have the same kind of really cool places like that. So they're always like, and Waltz, I think, is one, and
yeah, Waltz is good. Yeah, those are great places.
Right, well, last question for you, Brie, and I'll let you get back to your afternoon. But I always like to end the interviews with this question, and I wanted to ask you, how do you think the folks who have worked with you in your career in property management, how would they describe you as a leader?
I would say, well, it's funny that you asked me that, because me and Abby and Lo, I feel like have gotten really close. I mean, we work out together, we collaborate on so many things. So just from speaking to them and kind of taking some pointers from them, I feel like I'm new in the industry, but I take initiative and I care. I think a big part of leadership is caring about the people that you're constantly working with. And that's part of my biggest passion about it. I care about every single person that works at every single level of this place. Like, I make it a point, no matter who's coming onto our team, I want to know their story, because every single person has a story. And I think that's the biggest part of being a leader, is having that empathetic side to people, and just knowing that it's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to, not be at your 100% all the time. That's unrealistic to think that. And I've really learned that side from, a big part of it from Abby and Lloyd. I've seen that they're constantly trying to give people opportunities to grow. And if they feel like someone's overwhelmed, they make it a point to, how can we help you? How can we take some stuff off your plate? I think that is what makes a leader, is you're constantly trying to raise your team up in any way that you can. And I really can't say enough about CIG for that purpose. And even like our president, David, he's over the top generous with, people's time. And if you got to do something, you go do it. You take care of what you need to take care of. Family is our first priority. Our people are our first priority here. And I've really taken that on. And it's kind of was like a natural thing that I just wanted to start doing as soon as I got into the role here. Is I wanted, like I said before, to blur that line. I didn't want anybody to think they were better than anybody else, because we're all in this together. We all have the same goal. And if I need to help you on a personal level to help achieve that, then like, let's do it. We're all going to have our bad days, but how can I make that better? And I think that's something that Abby's definitely seen from me. That's a big thing. And I think me and her are very similar. It's scary to admit that, but she, like I said, she's awesome. We give each other a lot of grief, but it's the admiration and respect for each other within this entire company is very prominent here. And I cannot say enough about it. But I would say that's the biggest part of my leadership and how somebody else would describe it. Is I'm putting the people first, because without our people, we aren't anything. And I just, even down from everybody at every level has really just made such an impact on my time here. And they've taught me so much. I love our managers. I love our leasing consultants, our maintenance. I know our maintenance people really well. And that's what I want to continue doing. I don't care if we have 400 people on our team at some point. Like, that will always be one of my biggest priorities, is to make sure that everybody knows, not feels cared about, but they know that they're cared about. That's the difference. Like, all these companies want to like say, okay, yeah, put our company culture up on our website, right? Which is so super important, but you have to live that company culture every single day. And that gets pushed under the rug because we get so busy in our everyday.
Right.
So like, that's something like I definitely always try to prioritize, whether I'm giving them a call, like saying, hey, how are you? How's your family doing? Like, is everything good? Is there anything I can do for you? That's something I like naturally kind of just put into my work. And I think I'm hoping that really, that's because that is my passion. I'm hoping that kind of rolls over into my leadership as I continue. But that's really like what I see in Abby and Lloyd as well. Like it's just kind of like that natural blend. And that's the biggest thing they've taught me. And even Abby, I work with her. We probably have like 4 meetings a day together. So we're constantly talking and constantly working together. And I think having that type of leadership, when you take away people's titles and the power that comes with those titles, it's who they are as people that make them exceptional leaders. And I can 100% say we have a team of exceptional leaders here.
That is so well said. I don't think I've heard something framed up like that. If you take away someone's title, who they are is what speaks to their leadership. Wow, that's powerful. Brie, you are so exceptionally passionate about this industry. It's very obvious. And I am excited for you. I'm excited to be part of this industry, knowing you are the future of it. And I'm very excited to watch you. You have a very long runway of your career ahead of you, and you are going to do great things. I think you are, from my vantage point, and I don't know much, but you seem to be in the absolute right seat on the bus, doing exactly what you are meant to do. And I'm with you. I think caring about people is paramount. It doesn't even matter what you do. And I'll tell you, as a mother, as a professional, as a woman, as a human being, knowing that people out there are putting people first and are just aware of the human condition makes me overwhelmed with just gratitude, because, Pat, you have a little sister. Yeah. I have a son. We all have family and friends that we care about. We can only hope that they meet people along their journey in life that will consider who they are as people and how they feel, and do what's best for them. So, we have this really unique opportunity to provide people with housing, which is, as I think, intimate of a relationship someone could have with a customer. And I think that's very special. So I know you share that thought, and I'm excited to continue to watch you grow and develop your career. And I did want to add something. And I think just when I talk about it, I forget, like, D&I is such an important part of who we are. And I don't even think, oh, D&I, that's just who I am. Like, I don't care, you be whoever you need to be to make your happiest self. Because at the end of the day, if you are not your happiest self, you'll never be able to achieve your full potential of anything, because you have to be pouring from a full cup, right? So, absolutely. And that's a big part of, as I grow in this industry, and hopefully I continue, I love CIG. I'm super passionate about CIG. As I grow within CIG, and hopefully, wherever I am in my career, I hope that I constantly want to promote that I don't bring your true self to the table, no matter who you are, what you want in life.
we want to accept you. And it's not just about accepting, it's about embracing people. And I think D&I I'm so glad that that's such a big topic right now, because I met Todd yesterday for the first time in person at the D&I, meeting. And I was like, it's just such a passion of mine, because I'm like, it's so crazy to me that, even 10 years ago, it was such a different time, and that people really had to put on this mask of someone they weren't to feel included and to feel embraced, accepted into a company or a culture. It blows my mind. And here we want you to be your full selves, because at the end of the day, if you're happy, you're your full self, you're going to be able to achieve whatever you want to be, or whatever you need, whatever you want in life. And that's kind of what I've even myself have experienced here, and just through the people. Your people are your culture. So I just wanted to make sure I
love that. Thank you so much. I didn't realize you were on the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. So thank you for your service there as well. Brie, this has been I am so grateful for you and your support. We will be airing this tomorrow for the Weekly Member Spotlight. I'll see you in a couple weeks on the social media committee. And thank you. I hope you have a great weekend. And thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you again next week for another edition of the Weekly Member Spotlight.